All right, ladies and gentlemen. So this one's going to be a little bit different. A lot of you know, I've been getting into a lot of spirituality, obviously with the works of Tao Te Ching and doing other spiritual things along with my own meditation journey. But a lot of you know my formal training in coaching. It comes through a lot of different psychology, and so I thought what we'd do, I'd tap into a lot of content I haven't taught in a while, in terms of the forms of what I've learned from the likes of Tony Robbins and all these personal development and business gurus. I thought I'd couple that with a lot of the spirituality that we've been diving in on. So this is, it's incorporating personality work along with spirituality, with the likes of psychology, with the likes of psychotherapy, with a lot of the ways in which we develop patterns. So I thought we'd start off, obviously continue to breathe, continue to pay close attention to your body. But I love giving people the space to just breathe, to just be right here, right now, be the space of observing, right? And that's really key, because what we're going to go into, I'm going to ask some really key questions that help you dive in deep in terms of a lot of stuff that's going to either trigger you or bring some stuff up or deepen your level of awareness. So there's going to be some deep questions, a deep conversation. And so being present during this is really important. It's just a matter of recognizing, remembering who and what you are. It's breathing deep. It's being present, right? And remembering that all the answers you need are within you, and they're in this present moment. So that's really, really key. So just breathe. Just tap into your heart. Remember the reason of why you're here. Remember what your heart's pulling you towards. Remember the difference you really want to make in the world. What you're here is your calling. Tap into all of that. And remember that while we dive in deep in terms of this content, because it's something I haven't taught in a while, but I'm reintroducing it into my content, and especially in terms of a lot of the coaching that I'm doing. Laura, welcome. We'll have a few more people joining here, but we've got a really cool crew that are able to jump on and join live. That's awesome. So in diving deep on this, a lot of you have learned a little bit about my content and a little bit about psychotherapy and how we develop patterns. But I thought what we'd do is I'd talk a little bit about how we build patterns, why we build patterns, and then we dive in deep in terms of how to create the shifts that you want to see in your life. And I know we all want different, you're striving for different results and other external factors, but this deep inner work is really what leads to that. So I'll talk a little bit about the content of how we develop patterns. Then we'll dive in deep in terms of the key questions of how you can start to gain different levels of awareness for what you're experiencing now, and then what you can do to shift, right? So that's the three components that you can really start to pay attention to. So a lot of people who are on now were on before. If you have a pen and paper and you want to write some stuff down, that'll be really key for this one as well. If you want to write down any key questions that I ask that you want to ask yourself later, or any answers come through you, this is it's important to write them down. So more than any other session, this one's going to be one that's for pen and paper. And make sure you all grab your green tea. I don't think I've mentioned green tea in the last 5 minutes, so it's about time. So one thing that's important to be aware of, and I say this time and time again, is that when we develop patterns, they often come from our childhood. So you can take a trip down memory lane to back when you were basically an infant, because what we develop are patterns that come out of our unconscious, right? So we have an unconscious pattern, an unconscious belief when we're born, that if I'm not loved, I won't survive, right? We've all heard this before. Awesome reminder. If I'm not physically loved, I may die, right? Parents know it's called failure to thrive syndrome. And so as we grow up, we only have that one fear, right? The one fear, if I'm not loved, I won't survive. So what does a little child do, right? Growing up, ages of 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. We run the same question in our unconscious mind of who do I need to be in order to achieve that love that means my very survival, right? So therefore, a baby will develop a bunch of different strategies, right? Because when they're sitting there and they're crying and they're not getting the love and attention, right? They're just trying to get love and attention so they can survive. We try a bunch of different things in order to get that love that means our very survival, right? Or at least that attention. So some babies, they develop the pattern of being bored and they're not getting the love. So all of a sudden they'll cry, and they'll cry extensively, and they learn unconsciously, if I cry, I get love. And unconsciously the brain links, if I cry, I will survive. Right? Other babies will, crying won't work, but then all of a sudden they fall and they hit their head, and the parent registers a very different level of scream, right? Very different level. And therefore you link, if I hit my head and I have pain, I get the love that means my very survival. And bang, I'm back in the game, right? There are many, many different patterns that children pick up in terms of what works to get the love and attention that we crave. Obviously, one of the patterns that works, especially here in the Western world, is achievement. We feel like as long as we achieve, we get that love that we crave, right? We get that attention from our parents or whoever love we crave the most. So this is the key question that Tony Robbins will ask in every single one of his seminars. If you've ever been to a seminar, or if you've ever been to his in-person events, whether it be UPW or Date with Destiny, I've been to both, they're awesome. You always ask yourself this question: whose love did you crave the most growing up? Right? It may have been a parent, but it may also have been a grandparent or a family figure or someone that you looked up to. Right? Whose love did you crave the most? And always, it's a key question, because that will determine where your patterns have come from, where your patterns were instilled in you. Right? So the question is, whose love did you crave the most? So just pay attention to that and take a trip back to memory lane of when you were younger and see what comes up for you. Here's key question number 2. Who did you have to be, or what needed to happen for you to be loved, for you to get that attention? Did you have to be pretty, funny, clean, responsible? Right? Did you have to be successful, athletic, smart? Did you need to get good grades? Did you need to be kind to your other siblings? Who did you have to be in order to get that love? In order to get that love that you craved, that to your unconscious mind meant your very survival? This may be a question you want to ask yourself time and time again when you're in a different state, right? So whose love did you crave the most, and what did you have to be? Or what did you have to do in order for them to get that love, in order for you to get that attention? Just take some time to write it down, take some time to think about it, take some time to meditate on it. Now, here's where it really gets interesting. In order to explain behaviors, in order to explain why we do what we do, Tony Robbins uses what's called the 6 human needs. Has anyone learned of the 6 human needs? Maybe type in the chat box. Give me a yes or no. Who's heard of the 6 human needs, and who's dove in deep on that content? I know Irene's big on Tony Robbins as well. She says yes. Anyone else? This is where a pen and paper might come in handy, because I'll run through the 6 human needs and how it can help you in terms of moving forward and understanding these behavior patterns. Apparently some people are trying to jump on the call. So if you guys are ready, Illy's saying Maslow's needs. Now this is different. It's a little bit of a different interpretation than Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But this has been really key for me in understanding people's behavior. The reason why I can coach really effectively is because I've studied this stuff in depth time and time again and applied it in my own life. And the reason why is because it explains perfectly why people do what they do and how to shift it. Because when you have a particular behavior, if there's a particular pattern in your life, the pattern may be thoughts, patterns may be emotions, patterns may be behaviors. I can guarantee you, if it is a pattern, it'll be meeting some of these needs. It'll be meeting some underlying unconscious needs that we all need to meet. And therefore, if you are meeting these needs and you are aware of which needs you're meeting, you can actually consciously choose to meet those same needs in different quality ways. So this is really, it's in-depth stuff, but it pays huge dividends if you dive in deep and you actually apply this in your life. So I'll explain this. We have really 6 human needs. And the first 4 are called needs of the personality. And so everyone needs to meet these needs in some way. You need to have particular thoughts, beliefs, patterns, behaviors that meet these needs at some level. So the first need is one of certainty. So the need to be safe, the need to be comfortable, right? The need to be, in a place of where you can predict, right, what's going to happen. We all have the need for certainty, right? The need for certainty that we're going to be safe, that everything's going to be okay, that we're, that we are aware who we are. So we all have a need for certainty and safety and security, right? The second need that we all have, that we always, need to meet, is the need for variety. Because if you knew what was going to happen, when it was going to happen, right, all of the time, you'd be bored out of your mind, right? Tony Robbins says this all the time. You'd be bored out of your mind if you knew what was going to happen, when it was going to happen, who was going to do what. So your body needs variety, right? Variety is the spice of life. Your body needs variety of emotions, of thoughts, of stimulus, right? Of experiences. So that's the second need. The third is need for significance, right? The need to feel special, unique, important, right? All the needs that make you feel like you are significant, right? That you matter. The fourth need is love and connection. This one doesn't need a whole lot of explanation, but it's the connection that you have with others, right? The love and connection you have with yourself, with others, with nature, with animals, that, that overall connection and love. Now we need to all find ways to meet these needs, right? We all find ways to meet these needs. Even if you have to lie to yourself, even if you have to do crazy things, we always meet these needs in some way, right? The question is, are you meeting them in ways that are neutral, in ways that are destructive, or in ways that are positive, right? Constructive. So every single problem we have, every single problem that someone presents to me, every single problem you have in your life, if it is a pattern, I can guarantee you it is meeting one of these needs, one or more of these needs. So please repeat the list, Illy's saying. So the 4 needs of the personality, the first 4 needs are certainty, right? Certainty, security, comfort, whatever you want to call it. Second is uncertainty or variety. Right. Third is significance. So feeling unique, special, wanted. And then fourth is connection and love. We have Andrea who's written them down here. Awesome. Thanks so much for that. So every pattern you have in your life will be meeting some of these needs, right? We'll be meeting some of these needs at some level. So for example, if you have a pattern of, I always give with my clients, I always give the example of depression. So someone who has the pattern of depression will always be meeting these needs in some way. Now, how can you meet these needs? Right? How can you meet these needs with depression? Well, if I'm depressed, if I'm sad, right? Is it true that my unconscious brain can link when I get sad, I get attention? Of course, right? So how much can we see that if we have a pattern of depression, that we get significance, right? How many people not only have a problem, but they also say how big their problem is and how much bigger their problem is than any other person's problem? Clearly their pattern, clearly their problem is meeting their need for significance. And as they share their problem, what are they doing? They connect with other people. And if they connect with other people, all of a sudden, even if the other person shuts them down, they find a way to connect with themselves by feeling sorry for themselves, right? What happens when you feel, like life's just bland, life's just going a certain way, it's very comfortable, very safe, but then you feel bored? Your body needs variety, which is the second need. So going into depression can actually allow you to meet your need for variety, right? For the spice, the different sensations, vibrations, even if it's sadness or anger, right? One huge pattern is that when people get sad, they can't feel sad forever, right? Because the body needs variety. So what you'll find is what Tony calls a crazy eight. You'll go from sad to angry, right? And you can't be angry all of the time and angry 100% of the time. So you'll go back to sadness and you go from sad to angry. And that's what's called the crazy eight. You go in these cycles of emotions because the body needs variety, right? And your unconscious mind links problems to meeting these needs, and it knows it'll meet your needs all of the time. And that gives you a need for certainty. It's like, I know I can always go back to depression. I know I can always go back to anger to meet these needs. It gives you a need for certainty as well. So check this out. With your problems in your life, if you have a particular pattern or emotion or whatever it may be, ask yourself the question, what needs am I meeting? What needs is this meeting? Is it meeting my need for certainty? Right? Is it meeting my need for variety? Is it meeting my need for significance? Is it meeting my need for love and connection? And it will help you explain every single piece of pattern, of behavior, of yourself and others. Really dives in deep into this. Now, they're the first needs that we call human needs of the personality. We all need to find ways to meet these needs. And that shows up in our patterns. The last two needs that makes up the 6 human needs are needs of what we call the spirit, the spiritual needs. Not everyone meets these needs, but it's what leads to fulfillment. And that is growth, right? We always need to be growing or we're dying. So growth is a huge piece of fulfillment. And the second need of the spirit, which is the 6th human need, is contribution. We always need to be serving. We always need to be contributing to something beyond ourselves. So run through these again. 6 human needs. First 4 needs of human personality: certainty, variety, significance, love, connection. Right? Last 2 needs. Needs of fulfillment, needs of the spirit, is always growth and contribution. Not everyone meets these needs, but it's what leads to a fulfilling life. Now, here's the question you can ask yourself. How is it that you meet these needs? Is it ways that are neutral, negative, or positive? Right? Do you meet these needs in a way that allows you to grow and contribute? Is another way to ask this. Your 4 needs of the personality, are you meeting these needs in ways that lead to growth and contribution? So for example, I'll give you a way in which you can use this. I started learning this I probably started learning this about 4 years ago. 4 years ago when I started my coaching journey, 4.5 years ago. I noticed in myself that I had a pattern. I was over in Canada, so I was in Canada for 2 years, but I hadn't really seen my family in a while. But once I started learning this content, started diving in deep on myself, I started asking myself these questions. And I had a pattern of always picking fights with my sister. Always picking fights with my sister. I didn't know why. I had no clue. Then I asked myself this question of what needs am I meeting by always picking on my sister and picking fights and making fun of her. And so I started recognizing that I was picking on her in order for me to feel significant. Right? I would make fun of her, make fun of what she was doing or whatever it may be, so that I would feel better about myself. My ego would feel better about myself. Right? So not only did I get my need for significance, but I also got that connection, right? In a poor quality way, but I got that connection with her, right? Not only that, but it was also variety. I was also meeting a need for variety. If my day was going boring, I could pick a fight with her and all of a sudden there'd be this stimulus and we get angry and, I'd feel, I feel rebellious in some way. And I always knew that was there, which offered my need for certainty. I always knew as soon as my life would go a certain way, if I wanted to meet those needs, I could meet those needs in a way, in a very low quality, but very, very certain way. So I was meeting a lot of needs. I was just meeting them in low quality ways, right? Here's also the thing that you can start to recognize in yourself. If a particular pattern in the form of thoughts, emotions, actions, whatever it may be, meets at least 3 of your needs, it becomes an addiction. Is why people become addicted to depression, addicted to anxiety, addicted to doubt, addicted to success, addicted to food, right? Addicted to smoking, gambling, whatever it may be. It will always meet at least 3 of their needs. Not in high quality ways, but in a way, low quality ways. So Illy's saying, what could food be fulfilling for people? Food's a big one, right? When you have that need to go eat chocolate, I love chocolate. So when I have a need to go eat chocolate, what does that do? It gives me variety, right? It gives me variety. And as it gives me variety, I always know it's going to be there. It gives me certainty. I always know it's going to be there. I always know it'll make me feel better, make me feel different. It may also make me feel guilty, right? Or that I'm doing something wrong, which gives me variety, right? Plenty of ways. Can give you, like Richard say, love. Can definitely give you feelings of connection with yourself, connection with this moment, right? A lot of people are in their head the whole time. The only way they get into their body is if they do something like smoking or food or drinking. It gives them back to their present moment. Give them presence back to their body. A lot of people have linked love with food because they have the feelings of connection. Whenever they were eating, they were with their family. So many different things. Now here's what I do with my sister, and here's what you guys can do with yourself. The needs that you are meeting are the underlying reason why this pattern persists, right? Because you're meeting some needs. What you can start to recognize is you can meet the exact same needs in higher quality ways. And therefore your unconscious mind won't have to go to the lower level behavior. We'll go to the higher level behavior because you'll now replace it by meeting the same needs, but also doing it in higher quality ways. So with my sister, I started learning all of this coaching stuff. And so when I moved back to Melbourne, I started meeting the same needs with my sister, but by helping her. right? By helping her, by serving, by being loving. The more I helped her, you can see if I was using my coaching skills and all this knowledge and I was helping her, while I'm helping, what is that meeting? Needs of connection, needs of love. While I'm helping, I'm feeling significant, like I matter, right? It gives me variety because who knows what's going to happen, right? If I'm coaching her or teaching this sort of stuff, offers a lot of variety, offers a lot of certainty. I can always help. I can always do this. But here's the beauty. I meet these needs in ways that lead to growth and contribution. I'm meeting the needs in a way that leads to me growing and to serving something beyond myself. I can honestly say in 4.5 years since I've been back, I haven't had a fight with her once. Not once. And it used to be a huge pattern of just picking on her and doing these crazy things because I was meeting those needs. I've not had a fight with her in 4.5 years since I've been back from Canada. And our relationship is completely different. Completely different. And even when I catch myself sometimes at picking on her, sometimes she shifts that, right? Because she can see that it's not me. And our relationship, her relationship with me has completely changed because I shifted the way I was meeting my needs. She also created a shift as a byproduct of that. Now, you can apply this to how you're building your business, for example, how you're relating to your loved ones, for example, how you relate to yourself through your emotional patterns of doubt, fear, worry, whatever it may be. This is why I find this is why I'm a huge believer in spirituality and when you build your business to focus on serving, focus on contribution, focus on growth, focus on love. Because when you do that, all the other needs will be met instantaneously. As long as you focus on love, growth, and contribution, those 3 high quality needs, your needs of certainty, variety, and significance, the other ones, are met instantaneously in high quality ways. So let me ask you this. If you wake up, you're in bed, you wake up, you put your feet on the floor, and you know that day you're going to feel huge levels of love, right? You're going to focus on loving as much as you can. You're focusing on growth and feeling like you're growing spiritually, personally, in your relationships, in your business, you're growing. And then you're focused on how much you can contribute, asking yourself the question of how may I serve, and focusing on contributing to something beyond yourself. If you live that way wholeheartedly, how certain will you feel that your life is going to be okay? How much variety does that offer, right? Especially if you're growing. And 3, how significant do you feel? How important, unique, special will you feel when you live with those virtues and from those values? They're all met, but they're met in high quality ways, completely different. So you're meeting the same needs, just in different ways that lead to growth and contribution. And you can completely transform any pattern as long as you apply this, right? Here's another quality question you want to ask yourself when you start to understand these 6 human needs. Which ones are your core driving needs? It's generally 2. 2 of these needs are generally ones that you value over the others. So some people need certainty and significance, right? They're their core needs. And that drives them in a completely different direction than someone who values variety and love, right? You can see just that blueprint alone will shift completely, right? Your direction of your life. So what are your driving needs? What ones out of the 6 human needs, which do you value the most? Which ones do you place as a hierarchy in front of the others? That's a key question. Here's what I've learned in my time of coaching all of you guys is that if you value certainty and significance as the top, you're in for a world of hurt. You're in for a world of hurt if you value certainty and significance above the others. And that's where modern day business is built, right? That's why I'm so passionate about introducing spirituality, ancient wisdom into modern day business, because I find modern day business, in terms of what we're learning now, and in terms of sales and marketing and business building, is built on certainty and significance, right? It's let me find a certain way to get there that I know it's going to work, and let me reach a level of status that's going to make me feel enough. It's going to make me feel special or unique, right? They're the ways of the ego, which is all beautiful, but it's not in your expansion that's going to lead to ways of growth and contribution, right? Especially if you have a calling where you want to contribute. I'm sure you can see if you have a calling that's pulling you and you can feel that, that journey is going to require a lot of growth, right? Because you have to drop some egoic patterns along the way. If you feel this, but you value growth and contribution and love, right, you're going to go down that path wholeheartedly because they're your values. But if you're being pulled by your heart that says leave this job, that says end this relationship, that says create this content, build this business, and you value certainty over everything else, right? It won't match up, right? You'll be delaying it. That's when you offer a lot of doubt, right? A lot of frustration, a lot of fear, because your brain links. If I have doubt, I don't have to do any of that. As long as I have doubt and as long as I have the problems, I don't have to get outside my comfort zone, right? I can stay inside my comfort zone and tell myself the story, oh, it's not that I'm not enough, right? It's not that I'm not enough. It's just that I have this problem that I can't overcome yet. So I don't need to get outside my comfort zone right now. Can you start to see these patterns within yourself, right? And start to notice them without judgment, but just notice them from the observer point of view. I see this all the time. When I was building my business and getting outside all these, and getting into a lot of content creation, I had the belief like I needed to make it first. I need to build a successful business before I release content. So then I proved to myself that I'm worthy or that I have credibility, right? When I sit down and I actually sit there and say, okay, what needs am I meeting by that? I can start to see that I'm lying to myself and I'm using that as an excuse. Right? I'm saying, oh, I have all this fear and doubt and I can't do it yet because I can't tell myself that I'm not enough. So I say, I can't do that yet because I'm not ready. I have this fear that I'm overcoming. Right? So some really key questions here. Always comes back to ask yourself the key questions of your childhood. Whose love did you crave the most? Right? Who did you have to be for that person in order to feel enough, special, in order to feel worthy, or in order to feel loved? And ask yourself, how does that transfer into your patterns now? Right? How did you develop those patterns and what needs are they meeting? What needs are they meeting? And then not only that, but how can you meet those exact same needs in a higher quality way? Your behavior will shift. Your emotions will shift. Every pattern that you want to see in your life shift will when you apply this. It's just the core fundamentals of human personality and idea of how you build patterns. And then once you do that, you can start to see where am I, previously, where was I valuing these six human needs? What was my criteria? What was the ways in which I was meeting that earlier? Right? What was my driving needs, my two driving needs? How can I shift that? In order to accomplish what I want to accomplish and in order to become who I want to become, what do my top two need to be? Right? What do they need to be? Love, growth, contribution, significance, variety, certainty. I'm sure you can see this is it's a deep question, but it's something that you can start to pull towards. It's something you can really start to dive in deep on, which is why I always highly encourage pen and paper, right? To just write it down, study it in depth. Now, does anyone have any questions that come up? I just assume you're all just locked in and learning this. And in reality, you're probably all just like not even paying attention to what I'm saying. You're just like, what the hell Tyson going on about now? Which is beautiful. Rich is loving it. Illy's loving it. Awesome. Definitely coincides with healing the inner child. Yes. Laura's loving it. Andrea. Awesome. Cool. So everyone just take a deep breath for the moment. Just breathe in deep. The reason why I want to breathe in deep and just center ourselves is because there's a lot of content here. There's a lot of information, a lot of things going on. You can obviously watch the recording here on YouTube and things like that, but just breathe in deep and just really start to pay close attention to what you feel. Because what matters more than understanding this intellectually is understanding it physically. It's what happens in your body when you learn this. And so just give yourself the time to just breathe in deep. And while you're breathing, also notice your heart. Pay attention to your heart. Pay attention to this thing that's beating your heart, this energy that provides life, that allows you to go on this journey. Just breathe and just allow this to sink in. Whatever needs to sink in will. Just be there for that inner child that meets these needs in low quality ways because they don't actually have the knowledge that you do now. They were meeting these needs in a way that made sense to them at the time, that was in their highest alignment at the time. Breathe for this inner child that just wants to be seen, that just wants to be loved, that just wants to be understood, that just wants to be heard. Imagine this 5-year-old on your lap, where they just feel scared, they just feel lost, they feel stuck, they feel insignificant, whatever it may be. Hold space for that. Recognize why these patterns have formed. I was on a coaching session a couple days ago. We dove deep into this in terms of every single pattern you feel, every single pattern you have meets needs in some way. Meets your needs in some way. It's there. It initially conditioned itself from a positive intent. An initial positive intent to feel enough, to feel loved, to feel secure, to feel safe, to feel significant. Just be there. Be there for that side of you. Just continue to breathe. Just feel it. Feel your heart. Feel your body. This is the real journey. This is the real work. And you can learn that you can start to shift any pattern you have that's going to lead to your growth. Not only your growth internally, but also the contribution you want to make in the world. Just learning, having this deeper level of awareness will allow you to do that. So I want to thank you for being here live. I'm glad you got a lot of information here. Yeah, love the comments. Lots to look into. Awesome stuff, guys. If you love this type of stuff, I might start to talk more on it and to go dive in deep on a lot of this and give you guys some different exercises. So I know a lot of you have this in your calendar. But this is the same time each week, same day, same time. So if you want to learn more on this, I'm definitely keen to explore. Just let me know what will really help, and we can do that. Irene, thanks for connecting. The pattern 60 needs with makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it does. And that's why I love doing this. Whatever I study, whatever I learn, whatever pours out of me in my meditations and in my learnings, I just love pouring it out to you guys, and just love being there for you guys and helping all of this make sense in terms of business and in terms of helping you achieve what you want to achieve, whether it be financially, whether it be in terms of something on social media, whatever you want to do. This is the real journey. Richard, I can really help people with this. Yeah. Laura, this is how I want to do business for sure. Authentic, real service. Absolutely. Absolutely. This is the only place to do it, right? That's why I found it's so different. People are wanting to build business from a place of safety, a place of certainty. They want to have a secure outcome. They want to know all of the steps. That just thrives from certainty. Right? When you're operating from a place of certainty, it's not growth, it's not contribution, right? And it's definitely not from a place of your highest love, right? It's coming from a place of certainty, which is, I want to do this to be safe. Following here is never safe to your ego, right? It's never safe to your ego. You have to let go of a lot of patterns. And that's why I found once I started meditating for 2 hours a day and just doing it in silence and all that fell away, I was able to follow my heart with more authenticity, more vulnerability. Because I've melted away the side of me that needs security, that needs safety, especially leaving my job. Right? I melted away that side of me that needs that certainty and safety and security, which allows me to then lead with my heart with more uncertainty, more variety, more spice, more vulnerability, right? It's really key ways. It's just me shifting how I'm meeting my needs and shifting which needs I value most. Trust me, once you come from a place of love, growth, and contribution, all the other needs are met in high quality ways, and you'll start to see your patterns shift. You start to see your patterns start to just dissolve because they don't need to be there anymore. You've already got your needs met in high quality ways. Richard, men spend so much time trying to understand women, in relationships, but never take time to understand themselves. You got it. I feel like following my heart is more certain because I can trust spirit. Yeah, isn't that crazy? So here's the thing. This is what I call the flip. Once you actually authentically follow your heart, you'll actually find that's the real security. And the security that you were operating from before in terms of your ego was all an illusion. For example, when I left my job, it was hard to leave from my ego because I needed a consistent paycheck to be secure. What are we learning now being in COVID-19? That was all an illusion, right? That was all an illusion. That was not security. That was not certainty. That was not safe anymore, right? But now that I'm following my heart full time, it actually feels really safe. Like Irene's saying, because I'm now in a deep knowing that whatever happens is meant to happen and I'm on my path. That to me feels more safe and more secure through the uncertainty, right? You can feel that. You can feel it in yourself. When you're following your heart full time, taking your scary leaps, there's an undercurrent of actual safety because you know you're following what you're meant to be doing. That's why you're meeting your needs for certainty, uncertainty, and significance in higher quality ways, right? Because you're just valuing love, growth, and contribution. And if your growth is following your heart, taking some scary leaps, trust me, you will contribute beyond yourself, high quality levels. And it actually does feel safe. It feels safe in your heart when you're leaping from that place, but it feels scary to your mind, your egoic patterns. Any other questions come up, guys, before we finish up? More than happy to answer anything that comes up for you. If not, you know where to find the recording. You know where to find me. I'm keen to explore this stuff. Richard says, was there a process for diving into all those questions? I learned all of this through studying Tony Robbins and doing all my coaching training and stuff like that. I've actually made my own models for bringing up these issues and stuff like that. And I've coupled it with spirituality. So it's really finding a way that works for you, right? Really finding a way that works for you. I sort of broke it down in a way just then that not many people would explain, in terms of your patterns, in terms of shifting them, and then in terms of following your heart, in terms of business or whatever it may be, and especially spirituality. So I've created my own models and my own sort of ways to execute this. But it's just understanding truth and then understanding how it expands to you as well. I'm more than happy to help you guys. Any other questions? If you want a particular step-by-step, like I said, I laid out some key questions here, so you can go back and listen or write them down and just ask yourself these questions time and time again. Other than that, guys, it's been a pleasure. Always love these calls. Always love to hear from you, and always love to see that you guys are jumping on each week and willing to engage and willing to do this inner work. That's why I'm here. Why I'm here is to help, and it's really cool that you guys are not only doing this, but you're helping me with my content. Definitely sharing your support. I'm loving seeing you guys in the group. Loving seeing you on all my posts and engagement, things like that. It means the world to me. And as long as I'm helping, and as long as I'm creating the path for you guys to move forward and follow your heart, then this is what I'm here for. So thanks so much, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm glad you got a lot out of it. Awesome. Have a great rest of your week, guys. Take care.